Hello, King-Chavez families. Mrs. Munoz here, your school counselor. There's only a couple of weeks of school left, and I wanted to share with you some ideas on how to finish this very strange end of the school year with some positive thoughts and ways of helping your child not only around this time, but to build up their social and emotional skills. So during this pandemic, parenting has been extremely challenging, I think, especially for parents with young children. And also after this presentation, I would like for you to learn 4 things. First, what to do with when my child or my children are unmotivated, not concentrated, and even defiant. What to say when my child is showing signs of being stressed and uncooperative. What to teach or what skills I want my child to learn for now and for the future. And lastly, what to do when really nothing works. So let's get started. Maybe at the beginning of this pandemic, you thought that it was gonna kind of like look like this. You were a little bit excited that you're gonna have some extra time, some freedom, sleeping in, some more. Maybe you thought you were gonna have some extra time with your family, doing things that you usually don't have time to. But now, after like about 70 days of isolation and no school, is actually kind of like more looking like this. So your child is tired, clinging, not wanting to do schoolwork, tired of the Zoom meetings, maybe not even paying attention to the teachers or the assignments. Sometimes you are also getting frustrated, afraid maybe that they're going to fall behind academically, so you make them do the work, or you're so tired yourself that you're giving up on this whole distance learning thing, and you're just letting your child or your kids play for a longer time than usual. And maybe you're like everybody, having good and bad days. So here's the message, really. You're not alone in this. And I think that what is shared is bearable. So with this new reality, we as adults have been adjusting expectations. We have to think of our kids' attention spans, new distance learning routines, balancing screen time and playing time with social time, different sleep schedules, time for myself, time for me and my friends, time with your partner maybe, how messy the home is going to be, meal preparation, budgeting and scheduling, all these new challenges that we've been having. So with this new reality comes new worries and new triggers. Maybe your trigger is having a picky child, new tantrums for little things, drama, some risky behaviors or silly behaviors, the noise levels in your house because we can't really go outside or let some energy out, maybe in the park. There's more messiness in the home and there's clutter everywhere, not having enough savings and worry about the economics of not having enough to feed your family. And lastly, very important, some internet issues and internet connection. So how to juggle all these? First and foremost, I think it's important to consider that as hard as it is for us as adults, it's probably harder for children. And we're gonna learn why. The things that are, like it says here, the things that are hard for us are the same things that are hard for them. Feeling tired, struggling with something new, new routines, being thirsty and hungry all the time, feeling bored, maybe not feeling well. Sometimes the kids might be overstimulated with the screen time, and feeling sometimes ignored because we're so busy. So we might be thinking why this is all happening. So let's understand a little bit about behavior and brain development. And we see a picture here of an iceberg, and an iceberg, as we all know, is a big piece of ice floating in the open water, but we can only see from the surface what's on top. There's a big part that is hidden, and we can see. So what we see really on top of the surface is anger, defiance, low frustration, sometimes even verbal abuse, kids that are dysregulated and who cannot really use their executive functioning part of the brain, or they can't really think or perform like before. So if we look deeper, what's below the water? It might be fear, anxiety, low confidence, sadness, and a big one is a feeling of this overwhelming feeling of all these feelings together. So let's get these new glasses and look at this iceberg from the part that we can really see. So with this, we are shifting our view to look deeper. So the mind shift goes from kids do well if they want to or if they choose to kids do well if they can. This has been well researched by Dr. Green and Dr. Ablon. They have multiple information about this. So we're going from thinking kids do well if they want to think kids do well if they can, meaning if they have the skills or they have the capability for doing it. So from my child is giving me a hard time to my child is having a hard time. So let's learn where these statements come from. So to really understand the brain, we need to take some content from what is called the state-dependent functioning of the brain. Our brains, we have to think that our brains are social. We need to have this social interaction with other people. And we might be asking ourselves, why do we feel so tired lately? It looks like we're doing less than we normally do, but understanding anxiety and what we could see below the iceberg, we can understand that anxiety and the brain states that we see that our brains are oftentimes in this survival state. In this state of survival, we're preparing ourselves for something that we don't know. We are feeling the anxiety of the unknown, and we are producing more stress hormones. When we worry and think, am I gonna get sick? When this is going to end? We create this feeling of exhaustion, and we are not motivated to do much. Not having a predictable schedule is really affecting us as adults, and our kids are no different. So let's learn about the two very important parts of the brain. We can see the rational part on this side, on the left side, the thinking brain, which is the cortex upstairs here, and the reactive or survival brain. Some people call it the thinking brain, the upstairs brain, and the reactive brain, the downstairs brain. Both parts of the brain are extremely important because it gives us the survival aspect that our brain needs. So our brains are continuing processing information from the outside, an internal goal to keep us alive. The stress response system is in charge of this very complex system that monitors the world from the inside out. So we're in constant check-in with the outside world and our inside world. So let's think of the rational or the thinking brain. The rational, when we are able to think and learn, it's because our brain is telling us we are not hungry, we're not cold or not too hot, we are not in danger, and you are calm. In this state of the brain, you can be creative, you can analyze, you can apply information, you can be kind, you can learn new information, and you can solve problems. The reactive part of the brain, or the survival brain, or the primitive brain, it's an active alarm state. I'm hungry, I'm cold, I'm scared, I feel some threat, and I react quickly. This part of the brain is very important because it alerts us when there's danger. It's important to think that when we are in the survival brain, we cannot really solve complex problems. So we have a picture here that shows us the three different important parts of the brain. The prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain, the executive part of the brain, and the emotional regulation part of the brain. Inside there, the limbic brain is the amygdala, the guard dog, and the hippocampus, which is the memory part of the brain, where all memories and are stored. And if you were to explain this to kids, so they could remember this part, these really three important parts of the brain, you can say that there is a memory or saving elephant, that's the hippocampus, where all the information is stored. The guard dog, or the amygdala, who is the guard dog who's checking for danger to see if there's need to be an action or not. And the wise owl, and that is the prefrontal cortex. Remember that the prefrontal cortex is the only part of the brain that allows us to learn. Now, with all this information about the brain-dependent functioning, how the two parts of the brain are really important to understand kids' behavior and our own behavior, we're going to go into the second part of this presentation, what to do with all these behaviors, right? So first, we have to think that children and adults thrive with schedules. And we want to set up this schedule, even though school is ending, right? But we still need some form of schedule. It's important to think of these schedules to do it with our kids and not to them. So there's an example here of an AM and a PM routine that was included in school time, right? So now that we don't have school, regular school, we need to come up with a new and different one that includes our kids' opinions on this. So this may include activities after school is over. So the idea is to set up a time to organize a schedule with them. And if you have done it in the past and you're thinking, oh, I've done this and it didn't work, then I would suggest to invite your children to cooperate with this routine. So ask them, what part is that the part you didn't like? Maybe it was like too long of the activity. Maybe we had breaks, but only inside the house. Or maybe we were not going anywhere. Now that the state is opening up with the different stages, we have more options, right? So collaboratively solving problems is the key to engage cooperation with your kids. The other picture here shows some paint and kids expressing their feelings. So a very well-renowned psychiatrist actually says, name it to tame it. So it's important that you teach your kids how to name their emotions. When they are able to name their emotions, something really special happens in the brain, and the kids are able to communicate with themselves and calm down. So it's important that you provide as much opportunities to show and express their emotions in a positive way with drawings, writing, Play-Doh, or any form of art. Could be leaves, could be rocks, display in a different way. So name it to tame is something important to remember. Now going back to the scheduling. This is a picture and an information from Dr. Siegel. It's called the brain and body platter. So in your day, the seven essential mental activities that our brain really needs to survive are sleep. So as you can see, with the bigger letters are the word sleep. So kids need at least 8 hours of sleep, non-stop sleep. Then we have the connecting time. So that could be with one adult connecting, whether it's distance, through the virtual connection, or actual connection, physical connection. Then we need a concentration time, right? The focus time, where we do schoolwork, activity, we read, etc. Then we need a downtime, when this downtime is you don't have a specific goal, you're just relaxing and helps your brain recharge. Then there is the playtime, right? The playtime could be structured or unstructured. And then the other part of the important part is physical, right? We need time during the day to exercise and be active physically. So these 7 essential mental activities, you can say, oh, physical is not mental, but remember that our brains and bodies are connected with each other. So there's no separation there. So it's important to remember that our brains are social. We are really pack animals. We need other people to stay basically alive. And isolation and not living in our regular routine, like we were been explaining, is really affecting our brains. And the brain, when it's isolated, really defends and protects more itself. So that's why you're going to see more people that are, acting out or being more anxious and with more, maybe even more aggression than before. Because even though there might not be an imminent or a physical threat to us, for your child, really a Zoom meeting at a time that they're not ready, or a worksheet, or really any school activity might feel as a threat for them. So now we're gonna go into the second part of this presentation, that is what to say when our kids are showing signs of being stressed or not cooperative. So instead of saying, I have enough with you, I'm here for you. That's enough, I'm done with you. How can I help? Oh, look at your brother, he's all done. Look at you. Instead of that, you can say, this is hard for you. Stop yelling. Instead of that, and I'm here if you need me. From, I can't deal with you, maybe you or both of us need a break and try again. Oh, come on, it's just one page and your brother is already done. Maybe you need a break and try in a little bit later. Stop whining. Let's take a deep breath together and let's give it a try again. Oh, you deal with it, it's not my problem. Instead of that, you can say, you'll get through this. I've seen you finish things before. And don't get me wrong, I know that all of these sounds extremely hard, especially when you yourself are frustrated. And it sounds really easy to do when I'm reading it, right? But when you are in that moment, it really feels, and it's hard. I've been there. And we're gonna talk about what to do when nothing really works. So what we want to think is that the third part of this presentation is, what do I want to teach my child with this whole experience? We gotta remember that I teach as a parent, as a mom, or a dad, by modeling the behavior I want to see in them. Because usually, many times, they're not gonna listen to what we say, but how we act with them. We also want to teach problem-solving strategies, thinking, I'm not the only one feeling this problem. I help myself, and adults can help me as well. So if they, when they're 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, can see you as someone who can help instead of criticizing, they're going to be more open to look for your help and more cooperative. The other thing that it's important that you want to teach is teach emotional connection with their own feelings. And we talked about name it to tame it, how important it is for kids to connect with their feelings, being able to express those emotions, to understand them, to accept them, and then to get over them. Then you want to teach them positive self-talk. So instead of, oh, I can't do it like my brother, or I'm so dumb, or oh, not again, then you teach them positive self-talk, saying, I've done hard things in the past, and I can do this too. I can help my family by doing blah, blah. I can help my brother by... and then mindfulness is something that the kids are being exposed to during school, and it's something that is really important to teach kids also to approach daily activities with curiosity and interest. Maybe going on experience in the garden, or maybe you go outside to the park and then you discover leaves, discover new things, or the air blowing in your hair. Why all this? Because remember that the brain needs to be in a state of calm to be able to learn. Social emotional skills are really key to all learning. Okay, so the last part, the fourth piece of this presentation, what to do if nothing really works and I lose patience. What to do, really. So the key for this is to connect. We tried to connect, it didn't work. The key is to connect and reconnect. All this process is really essential for all human relationships. We connect, we mess up, and we reconnect. Why this is so important? Because our brains need and are wired for connections, for relationships. Remember that our brains are social. We need other people. We need our brains to develop our own brain. And this is particularly important with kids. And when we reconnect again, you are really sending a powerful message. And most important message straight to your child's brain. Mistakes are an opportunity to learn. So an example would be, an example of reconnection would be saying, for example, remember when this morning I yelled at you because you would not do what I asked you to? I'm sorry, I was being impatient. You can also say, I feel so exhausted sometimes and I get frustrated. I ask too many things at once, right? So then you're opening up a conversation with them, and they're gonna see you and feel you in a different way. You can say also, can we do over? This is super hard for me as well. These are all ideas. Again, it sounds very easy to just read them. But the more you practice, the more you're gonna get better at this. So this is a 5-to-1 ratio. If you've never heard of this is a really important information to remember about relationships. This is called a magic ratio. And it's been researched by many. They find out that we need to fill what is called an emotional bank account, really. So for every negative interaction, we need 5 positives. So when parents engage in the expression of positive feelings toward kids about 5 times as often as they engage in the negative one, we are providing our kids for great opportunities for development in all areas. So 5-to-1 ratio is something that we want to remember. So if you mess up one time, right, you need to do 5 positive interactions. So lastly, we want to finish with some positive things that you can tell yourself as the parent. And if you finish all this presentation, which is kind of long, don't forget to be kind and compassionate to yourself. So I'm going to ask you now, so you can put your one hand on your chest and then one on your belly. You can take a deep breath. And you can say, just listen and say this in your mind or read. May I forgive myself if I make a mistake with my children. May I find time to take care for myself. May I be calm. May I be safe to protect others. And just to share with other parents, I'm not the only one feeling these really strong feelings. Okay, so I hope you find this information important to you. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in another time. Thank you.